My father was born in Magdeburg, Germany in 1931. Okay. And me and my siblings, we went to visit Magdeburg a few years ago. I mean, we went to the Jewish cemetery that miraculously survived. And there's a monument in the Jewish cemetery that was built after the First World War to all the Jews from Magdeburg, the young Jewish men who died fighting for the German fatherland and the Kaiser in the First World War. And of course, they built the monument to remember their, the people that they'd lost, but also I think that they wanted to show their neighbors, right, what good patriotic Germans they were. Now, a decade after the monument was built, I don't think their non-Jewish German neighbors really cared much about that. Yes, and they voted for Hitler into power and so forth. And the whole idea is if people just knew more, right? If they were more educated, they wouldn't hate us. Well, throughout history, a lot of very educated people have been anti-Semitic. Voltaire, the father of the French Enlightenment, anti-Semitic. Dostoevsky, no one doubts his contribution to world literature, yeah, anti-Semitic. The list goes on. Even Shakespeare, though there's a debate, is the Merchant of Venice only, what's the word? Is he only expressing the prejudices of his time, or was he himself? What difference does it make? Yes. So all I'm saying is you're telling me, can't we convince them of the justice of our cause? So we have to keep trying, of course. But the most important thing is if we say, people thought maybe after the Holocaust, people have finally learned the lesson that Jew hatred has been discredited, anti-Semitism leads to Auschwitz. No one can support that sort of thing anymore. And maybe there was a time where anti-Semitism became unfashionable in certain circles and so forth. But it's come back big. And so some people say, well, we can get depressed because, some things don't change. But Ishai, something important has changed. The Jews have changed. Because when my father was born in 1931, there was no Jewish state, there was no Jewish independence, there was no ability of the Jewish people to defend themselves. The world that my grandchildren are born into is a very different world with all our challenges. And I don't in any way minimize our challenges, yes? But this is a world where the Jewish people have regained sovereignty in their ancient homeland. This is a world where Jewish people are strong and can defend themselves, as we can see in the skies over Iran as we speak. This is a country where Jewish life now has a number one priority for one country in the world, and that is the Jewish state.